One day in Wonderland, Alice heard two people quarreling. Whoever can it be? She wondered. The grinning face of the Cheshire Cat appeared in the snowy branches of a tree. "It's Tweedledum and Tweedledee," he chuckled. "They say they'll have a battle." "Ooh!" Alice jumped. "You did startle me! I must go at once and see it is a fair fight." "They won't really fight, you know," purred the Cheshire Cat. "They never do." And he slowly vanished. Alice hurried along, following the sound of raised voices until she came upon Tweedledum and Tweedledee all dressed for battle, with cushions, coal scuttles, and saucepans tied around their chubby selves. They looked very strange. "Why are you fighting this time?" asked Alice. "After Tweedledee broke my rattle, I bought a new one, and now he's broken that too," howled Tweedledum. "Fancy fighting over a broken rattle," thought Alice. "You must see he doesn't cheat," cried Tweedledee. The two warriors faced each other. "Ready, steady, go," called Alice. The battle had just begun when the sky suddenly darkened. Tweedledum and Tweedledee froze mid-swing, their faces contorted with terror. "It is the monstrous crow," they wailed, "as black as a tar barrel." And they ran off as fast as they could, their makeshift armor clanging noisily. Alice looked up, puzzled. There was no sign of a crow, monstrous or otherwise. But the sky was indeed darkening, heavy snow clouds rolling in and covering the world in a cold, gray gloom. Then, as if on cue, the snow began to fall, soft and silent. Alice pulled her coat tighter and ran to shelter beneath a tree. As she stood there, shaking the snowflakes from her hair, she heard a familiar chuckle. Above her, in the snowy branches, she saw the grinning face of the Cheshire Cat. "I told you they wouldn't really fight," he purred. "There is nothing more irritating than cats who are always right," snapped Alice, stamping her foot in the snow. "And now I shall never know how it would have ended." The Cheshire Cat's grin only widened. "Oh, my dear Alice, it never ends. Not with those two. They'll find another reason to quarrel before long. That's the way of things in Wonderland. Surely you've noticed by now." Alice folded her arms, pouting. "Perhaps, but I still think they should have finished what they started. How else would they know who's in the right?" "Does it truly matter?" the cat mused, his body slowly materializing in the branches. "In Wonderland, what is right and wrong is often a matter of perspective, just like that crow they imagined. It wasn't real, but they believed it was. And in their world, belief is all that matters." Alice frowned, considering this. "You mean to say they scared themselves over something that didn't exist?" "Precisely," purred the Cheshire Cat. "Quite amusing, isn't it? But tell me, Alice, haven't you ever been frightened by something that wasn't really there?" Alice opened her mouth to reply, but the cat vanished again, leaving only his grin lingering in the air like a crescent moon. "Oh, how infuriating he is," she muttered, stomping off into the snow. As she wandered through the woods, the snow grew heavier, blanketing the ground and muffling all sound. Alice thought she had left Tweedledum and Tweedledee far behind, but soon she heard faint voices arguing once again. Peering through the snowy trees, she spotted the two brothers sitting on a fallen log, still dressed in their odd battle gear. They were shouting back and forth, gesturing wildly at a heap of snow between them. "I told you it's a dragon's egg," Tweedledum insisted, pointing at the snow. "And I told you it's a snowball," Tweedledee retorted. Alice sighed, stepping closer. "What are you two arguing about now?" she asked. The brothers jumped, startled by her sudden appearance. "Oh, it's you," said Tweedledum. "Look at this and tell me what you see." He gestured dramatically to the snow. Alice squinted. It was just an ordinary lump of snow. "It's a snowball," she said firmly. "Ha!" Tweedledee crowed triumphantly. Tweedledum glared at her. "What do you know? It could very well be a dragon's egg. You don't know what lies beneath the surface." Alice sighed again. "If you spent less time arguing and more time digging, you'd find out soon enough." The brothers stared at her, then at each other, and finally began poking at the snow. Alice watched for a moment before shaking her head and turning away. "They'll argue no matter what they find," she thought. As she walked away, she heard Tweedledum shout, "See? It is a dragon's egg," followed by Tweedledee yelling, "No, it's not. It's just a bigger snowball." Alice smiled despite herself. "I suppose they'll always be the same," she said aloud, brushing snow from her coat. "And perhaps that's just how things are meant to be in Wonderland." Ahead, the snow-covered path seemed to glow faintly, as if inviting her to follow. And so she did, eager to see what new adventure awaited her next. Each step crunched beneath her boots, the sound amplified by the quiet stillness of the forest. Frosted trees arched overhead, their branches intertwined to form a natural cathedral. The faint light ahead shimmered with an ethereal quality, neither sunlight nor moonlight, but something entirely otherworldly. Alice realized that Tweedledum and Tweedledee would always be that way, and perhaps that was the true nature of Wonderland, a world where ordinary logic often didn't apply, and endless conflicts were part of its charm. As she walked along the snowy path that seemed to glow ahead of her, Alice reflected on everything she had experienced since entering this strange world. She recalled how the Cheshire Cat always seemed to know more than he let on, speaking in riddles that were often confusing, but sometimes enlightening. She pondered how every creature in Wonderland seemed to have its own unique perspective, often contradicting one another, yet somehow coexisting in a strange kind of harmony.